people for a Friday afternoon. Thank you very much all for being here, and let me thank Keith Morgan for his remarks, thank Rennie Cushing for his longtime support, and thank the next governor of the state of New Hampshire for his support. New Hampshire has come a long way in recent years in becoming a more progressive state, and let's take it to the governor's office and elect Andy your next governor. And I want to say a word of thanks, as I often do, to the people of New Hampshire, not just for the support that you gave me in 2016, but there's something deeper than that, and that is, as Andy just mentioned, he listed off a whole host of issues. When I ran in 2016, and this is the first primary state, Iowa was the first caucus state, and when I came here and I talked about the issues that we talked about, we had the political establishment and the economic establishment and the media establishment saying, those ideas are too radical. Those ideas are too extreme. Those ideas are not going to be supported by the American people. And guess what? We won here in New Hampshire by 20 points. So, my point is, and Nelson Mandela made a very profound statement relevant to that. He said, everything seems impossible until it is done. You know what that means? And that's kind of what happened. Oh, you can't get a $15 minimum wage? Oh my God. Well, last 4 years, 7 states have passed $15 minimum wage. Oh, you can't make public colleges and universities tuition free? New Mexico did that a few months ago. And other states as well. You know, oh, you can't address climate change, you can't address immigration reform, you can't address health care and so forth and so on. So the challenge that we face actually is not just taken on Wall Street, and not just taken on the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry, and all of the incredible power that the 1% has. We have a deeper challenge, and that is the limitations to our own imagination as to where we want to go. And that is the challenge. And every day the establishment in one form or another will tell you, you can't do that. Yeah, we can give tax breaks to billionaires, that's okay. Yeah, we can give subsidies to the fossil fuel industry who are destroying the planet. That's kind of the way it always happens. What's your problem with that? Yeah, we can have 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets of America tonight. Sad, but you know, that's the way it is. Yeah, we can have failing public schools and teachers who are working 2 or 3 jobs. That's America, I'm sorry, you know, that's what it is. No, it doesn't have to be that way. If we are prepared to think big and not small, and think outside of the box. And that is kind of what this campaign is about. So our campaign is not just about defeating the most dangerous president in American history, and that is something we will do. But our job is to transform this country in very, very profound ways, to ask questions that the media doesn't ask, that Congress doesn't ask, that the establishment doesn't ask. Just to give you a few examples. Right now, in this moment in American history, we have a corrupt political system. And we take it for granted. We see it every day. You read the papers. Well, candidate X's donors said. Well, who cares about candidate X's donors? You know, why not ask the American people, not just wealthy people who make campaign contributions? Or that some billionaire is now spending over $100 million and will be a lot more on campaign ads. Is that the way we are supposed to elect presidents of the United States, because they're billionaires and they can spend endless amounts of money on 30-second TV ads? I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't. You know, we come from New England and we have town meetings like this. Towns get together and they will argue about their municipal budgets, their education budgets. They will vote, and it's one person, one vote. What we want to do is end billionaire domination over our political process and move to a democracy of one person, one vote. And by the way, that means overturning this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. It means ending voter suppression in New Hampshire and around the country. And it means moving to public funding of elections. And it means making it clear that anybody in America who's a citizen and is 18 years of age or older has the right to vote. End of discussion. And when we talk about questions that are not often asked, is we will ask and do something profound about income and wealth inequality. Right now, as a nation, we have got to sit back and say, is it satisfactory? Are we comfortable with 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society? No, we're not, but we don't talk about it very much. It's one of those issues we're not allowed to talk about. We talk about many things. The media says it's okay to talk about that and that. But 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half, top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 92%. In New Hampshire, you got people working. In Vermont, you got people working 2 or 3 jobs. And yet 49% of all new income goes to the top 1%. So we are going to deal not only with a corrupt political system, but with an economy today that is more income and wealth inequality than at any time since the 1920s. All right? So we have the radical idea that maybe we should have an economy that works for working families, not just the 1%. Now, we have a president who thinks he's going to get reelected because he's trying to divide us up based on the color of our skin, or where we were born, or our religion, or our sexual orientation. We are going to defeat Trump because we are doing exactly the opposite. We're bringing people together as Americans, black and white, Latino. And my promise to you is that our cabinet and our administration will look like America in all of its diversity. Yes, we will have at least one old white guy, but I don't know how many more others that we'll have. And when we talk about where we have got to go as a nation, how we bring people together, what our agenda is, we have an agenda that speaks to the needs of the working families of this country, and not just the billionaire class. So what does that mean in particular? And Andy touched on some of the issues. And they're not, they're kind of common sense. If you work 40 hours a week, you should not live in poverty in the richest country in the world. About it. And yet, half of the people in America today, in a so-called good economy, are living paycheck to paycheck. You all know that. I grew up in a family. We live paycheck to paycheck. You all know what that means. It means if your car breaks down, you don't know how you're going to get it fixed. If you get sick, you don't know how you're going to afford going to the doctor. You're spending a significant part of your income on rent and so forth and so on. All right? And right now, in the so-called good economy, where unemployment is reasonably low, do you know what real inflation accounted for? Wages went up last year, you know how much? 1.1%. 1.1% in a so-called good economy. So you're living in an economy where almost all new income and wealth is going to the people on top. So we're going to raise the minimum wage together to $15 an hour. We're going to make sure that women in America earn equal pay for equal work. We are going to make it easier, not harder, for workers to join in unions. We are going to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure and create millions of good-paying jobs doing that. What about education? We've got to take a step back and look at the educational system that we have in America today. Psychologists tell us that the most important years of human development are 0 through 4. And yet in Vermont, and I expect in New Hampshire and many parts around this country, very hard for working class families to be able to find quality, affordable childcare. Is that right? Okay, now how's that? And then we pay childcare workers horrendously low wages. So what we need to say is we got our priorities right. And that means we have universal, high quality, affordable childcare for all families in this country. Last month, I was in Concord talking to some educators. And one of them mentioned to me that here in New Hampshire, there are some school districts which start off teachers at salaries less than $30,000 a year. So just, again, take a step back. If we appreciate and understand the importance of education as human beings and for our kids, why do we treat educators in the way we treat them? Such that all over this country, you have teachers working 2 or 3 jobs, teachers taking money out of their own pockets in order to buy school supplies. So we have got to change our attitude, our approach toward education, and understand that educators and education are some of the most important things that we do as a nation. That means tripling funding for Title I, low-income schools, adequately funding the IDEA program for kids with disabilities. And simply saying that we appreciate that teachers are doing some of the most important work in America. What's more important than educating our young people? And therefore, no teacher in America should make less than $60,000 a year. It's not a radical idea. It's not a radical idea. It is changing our priorities in terms of what we consider to be important. If Major League Baseball can pay hundreds of millions of dollars for star pitchers, yeah, we can pay teachers $60,000 a year. Then we look at an issue that's getting a lot of attention, because it's an issue that impacts everybody in this room, and that is healthcare. So let me say something to you that I've been saying. You probably have heard me from the other side of the Connecticut River, saying it for decades, that I believe that healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. And I believe, and I've always believed, that we've got to join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child as a human right. Now, the current system And the more I study it, and the more that I hold meetings, and we'll open it up for discussion in a bit, and I want to talk a little bit about healthcare, but the more I look at this issue, the more cruel and dysfunctional I see the current system as. And that is, and this is important, it's not, we don't talk about it enough for maybe obvious reasons. We are spending twice as much per person on healthcare as do the people of any other country. So it's not like, okay, you bought a cheap car, you're not shocked when it breaks down, right? We are spending twice as much as our Canadian neighbors and people all over Europe, and yet we have 87 million people who are uninsured or underinsured. Let me emphasize the word underinsured, okay? We have 30,000 people who die each year. You know why they die? Because they don't go to a doctor when they should, because they don't have insurance. We have, and this is an amazing statistic, we got 500,000 people who go bankrupt every year because of medically related debt. Now I want you to think about cruelty. It's one thing if somebody here says, you know what, I'm going to make a wild investment. Somebody told me I could make a fortune, or I'm going to go to a gambling casino and see if I can make some money, and you lose your money. That's one thing. But people are going bankrupt because they are dealing with cancer. They are dealing with heart disease. They're dealing with Alzheimer's in the family or some other terrible illness. People should not face financial ruin because they have a serious illness. That is cruel and that is unacceptable. And when you talk about a dysfunctional healthcare system, we have a pharmaceutical industry which is not only extraordinarily greedy, it is a corrupt industry as well, and I use the word corrupt advisedly. This is an industry, and I don't have to discuss the opioid epidemic too much to the people in New Hampshire you are living in. This is an industry which is now being sued for tens of billions of dollars by attorneys general from all over the country because they knowingly continued to sell opiates that they knew were addictive and killing people. You have an industry which charges people who have diabetes 10 times more for insulin than they charge people in Canada and other countries around the world. An industry that engages in price fixing and in collusion. An industry that has created an insane situation where 1 out of 5 people in this country who get sick and go to the doctor and get a prescription cannot afford to fill that prescription. Do you believe that? Because the price of medicine is so high. So what we have got to do is, in my view, guarantee health care to all people. And the way we do that is through a Medicare for all single-payer program. I want to explain to you, so I want to be clear what that means, because you're going to see a lot of attacks on Medicare for all. The debate is not, it is impossible for me to imagine how anyone can defend the current dysfunctional and cruel system. All right? So we're going to get attacked, and do get attacked. The healthcare industry last year made $100 billion in profit. You can't afford healthcare. You can't afford your prescription drugs. Your family may go bankrupt because you are diagnosed with cancer, but the industry made $100 billion in profit last year, and they will spend, trust me, as much as they want in order to defeat Medicare for all. We're seeing ads going up all over the country and so forth and so on. All right, what does Medicare for all mean? What does it mean? It means that because we believe that health care is a human right, we eliminate all premiums. Gone. We eliminate all co-payments. Gone. We eliminate one of the most insane concepts that one could imagine. We get used to it, but it is insane nonetheless. That is the concept of deductible. You got that? Think about what a deductible means. You have health insurance, but you can't utilize your insurance unless you take out of your own pocket the first $5,000, $10,000, whatever it may be. Well, what happens if you're a working class guy and you don't have $5,000 or $10,000? Then what good does your insurance do? Nothing. That is an insane concept. We eliminate deductibles. We eliminate out-of-pocket expenses. And under Medicare for All, because we are going to substantially lower prescription drug costs in this country, no family will have to spend more than $200 for their prescription drugs. Right? Now, I'm going to sit here and tell you that health care is free. I'm not, because that would be dishonest. Healthcare is an expensive proposition. People are going to have to pay for it. How do we pay for it? And what is the fair way to pay for it? And how do we pay for it right now? We don't talk about it. I am very often attacked. Bernie, how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? Fair question. Well, how the hell do we pay for what we got right now? All right, who wants to tell me premiums? How much are people paying in premiums right now, today? How much are you paying? A month? All right, so that's 7 times, that's over $9,000 a year. Just for premiums. Just you, just for premiums. Do you have any out-of-pocket expenses?
Yeah, and like a $7,000
Oh. So here is how we pay for health care today. Not talked about. $7,000 deductible, $9,000 a year in premiums, and then additional expenses. That's like 15, whatever it may be, depending on the situation. That's how we're paying for health care today. That is an outrage. What else are people paying? $900
$913 in Vermont.
In Vermont, we pay $900. All right. All right. That's again over 10,000. That's should be better in arithmetic than that, but $11,000. That's just for premiums, yes.
Just for premiums for
Just one person. Okay. Yes, sir.
$600 a month, and I'm on Medicare.
You have the supplement. That's right. Okay. Well, you're not going to need to pay that because our Medicare for All will cover all of what your supplement is covering right now. Okay. Other thoughts on premiums, sir? Yes, ma'am.
As a medically retired California state employee, my premiums are about $400 a month to just cover me.
Okay. Costs $5,000 a year. Okay, sir.
I'm retired military. My premium is $600 a year.
A year.
A year. The government has been taking care of my medical expenses, my family expenses, for roughly 55 years, active duty and retired. So if I could have a insurance like that, why can't everybody?
You're right. So thank you very much. So here's the truth, and you just heard it here. It's the median family in America makes about $60,000 a year. That family is paying about $12,000 a year for health care costs. That's 20% of their income. That is an enormous amount of money. Not to mention what their employer is paying. Employer is paying if you have private employer insurance. Your employer is paying $14,000. You're paying $12,000 a year. So how do we pay for it? Well, we pay for it through a number of options that are out there. But what would be most relevant for working families is we have a 4% income tax exempting the first $29,000, 4% on income. So if you are that average family in the middle of the economy making $60,000 a year, you pay 4% of $31,000, a little over $1,200 a year for comprehensive health care. How's that? Needless to say that it's far, far less than anybody else is talking about out there, because they're not dealing with the basic issues. Now, how are we able to do that? What we are doing is eliminating the hundreds of billions of dollars in administrative costs that take place when we have thousands of separate plans. Think about the cost. You have a $5,000 deductible, you have a $10,000, you're covered, you're in this network, you're in that network, you have this prescription drug coverage, you have that prescription drug coverage. It is never ending and totally complicated, and we are wasting some $500 billion a year trying to administer that program, as opposed to our idea. You walk into a doctor's office, any doctor you want, you take out your card, and that's it. That's the whole administrative big deal. All right? Not a radical idea, it's what exists in Canada. So our plan is a 4-year phase-in. First year, we expand Medicare to cover dental care, hearing aids, eyeglasses, and home health care. And in that first year, we lower eligibility levels from 65, where it is now, down to 55. Year 2, down to 45. Year 3, down to 35. Year 4, everybody is in. End of discussion. And what Medicare for All does, and again, it's really quite profound. There are millions of people in this country today who are on their jobs not because they love their jobs. They're working at a company because they have decent health insurance for their family. Think about what happens when people don't have to stay at a job for health insurance. You can start your own business. You can do what you want to do. It will increase human freedom in this country a whole lot. So, you're going to hear a whole lot of attacks on Medicare for All. And understand that all those ads you will see on television or read in newspapers are paid for by the drug companies and the insurance companies. We have been talking in this country about universal health care. Health care is a right since Teddy Roosevelt over 100 years ago. Teddy Roosevelt talked about it, FDR talked about it, Truman talked about it, Kennedy talked about it, Jimmy Carter talked about it, Lyndon Johnson talked about it and actually did something about it. All right, Obama talked about it, Nixon even talked about it. Okay. I think after 100 years, we got to end the talk and finally do what every other major country on earth does. Another issue I want to spend a moment on, which the more I study it and the more I hear about it, frightens me even more. And that is the global crisis of climate change. I truly wish that I could come before you, because it would make my life as a candidate easier, and say, look, yeah, you got a problem, but ain't much of a problem. We'll get our act together. Don't worry about it. If I told you that, again, I would be lying. What the scientists are now telling us is that they have underestimated severely the speed and the damage that is occurring because of climate change. What we're looking at right now is the polar ice caps melting at a rate far faster than the scientists had predicted. Oceans are warming, which means that sea levels will rise. And if we do not get our act together in a very dramatic way, major cities in America, like Miami, New Orleans, Charleston, New York City, may well be partially or completely underwater by the end of the century, because the climate temperature of Earth could go up by 7 degrees Fahrenheit if we continue the same rate. Imagine that, 7 degrees average, some communities and places even more. So what we are talking about is not only rising sea levels and warming of the oceans, and when the oceans warm, fish are going to die, and hundreds of millions of people get their protein from fish, and that's going to be a crisis unto itself. We're talking about severe drought and heat waves, which will cut back on farmers' ability to grow their crops, meaning crop production will decline and the quality of food will decline, rising food prices. It means that we are looking at extreme weather disturbances. All of you saw last month Venice, Italy being underwater. Houston, Texas was flooded with unprecedented levels of rain. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see the spread of disease because bacteria thrive on warm weather, and they will now expand beyond where historically malaria and other diseases have taken place. And what the United Nations tells us, if we do not get our act together, we are going to see hundreds of millions of climate refugees. That means people who can no longer live in their homeland, no water, no food. They're going to move. And when that happens, you're talking about the potential of terrible war and all kinds of global conflict. This is what we're looking at. And I'm here to tell you that if we are concerned about our children and our grandchildren and future generations, and I've got 7 grandchildren, if we are concerned about future generations, we have no choice but to act boldly and comprehensively to combat climate change. And the idea that we have a president who rejects science, who not only does not understand the reality of climate change, but who is exacerbating the problem by encouraging more fossil fuel production, is absolutely unbelievable. Now, the difficulty here, which makes this issue as difficult as it's even more difficult, it's not an American issue. This is a global issue. And somehow or another, what we are going to have to do, and as president, I suspect this will be, one of the most important things that I can do, is to reach out to the people of Russia and China and India and Pakistan and Brazil and countries all over the world and make it clear that the future of the planet depends upon us working together. And maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemies, which is climate change. This is just a very, very huge issue. And the idea, and I want you just to appreciate this, when climatologists talk about climate, they're looking at millions of years of trends, hundreds of. We are seeing change with our own eyes. The moose population in New Hampshire is being threatened now by ticks because of warmer climate. Lake Champlain, where I live in Burlington, used to freeze over almost every year, no longer the case. We're seeing these things with our own eyes within a few years. Think about what that means 10 years from now, 100 years from now. So we got a crisis, and we're going to have to address that crisis. And as president, I think there are very few things that are more important than us going forward in that way. I've been criticized, I got to tell you, I have been criticized. People say, well, Bernie, your proposal is too expensive. And I want you all to think about it. What is the alternative? How much is too much in terms of saving the planet for future generations? And I wish I could tell you that there was a modest way that we could do it. I don't know that there is. mean, this is just a huge deal that we're going to have to work on. So that is an issue very much on my mind, and I think increasingly on the minds of people in our country and, in fact, around the world. And once again, I mean, it is interesting, maybe a sad state of affairs, but it is the younger generation that is trying to save the world all over this planet. We're seeing young people, groups like the Sunrise Movement and others who are standing up and telling the older folks, hey, save this planet. This is our planet. We want to live healthy lives. A lot of other issues out there, and I've already gone on for too long. I mean, clearly, we're going to have to move forward with immigration reform and a path toward citizenship for the undocumented. We need fundamental reform in a very broken and racist criminal justice system. We are going to need gun safety legislation which is supported by the American people, not the NRA. And we're going to have to work overtime to make sure that it is women and not the government who control their own lives. Okay, we wanted to leave, and there are many other issues out there that people can ask me about, but let me start off. Let me throw out a question to you, and you'll throw out questions to me. I wanted to get back to this healthcare issue. Thoughts on healthcare. It's the system, my colleagues in the Senate often tell me that we have the best healthcare system in the world. That's right. I agree with that. Who wants to talk a little bit, maybe out of personal experience, about healthcare? Anyone have comments on it? Okay, I see a hand right here. Can we get hand? Ma'am? Okay. Just stand up, give us your name, please.
Hi, my name is Tina Runyon, and so I work in healthcare. I'm a psychologist, and I work in healthcare. But so my question is, I'd love to hear, it's not a comment, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about mental health care. We have a crisis in this country related to anxiety, depression, suicide. And it's,
you work in suicide prevention?
I mean, I work in primary care as a psychologist, so all my work is suicide prevention, but I'm also a veteran. And, been a single mom for many, many years. And so it's really hard for people to, it's not just about economics in terms of healthcare. I think there's a lot of barriers to accessing healthcare, and I consider mental health care really fundamental to medical care. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you think about mental health care with Medicare for All.
Thank you very much for the work you're doing and for raising the issue. We have, I think, all over this country, I don't know there's any state that does not have a mental health crisis. And by the way, I just want to tell you, wherever I go, that issue is always up and considered to be a major issue. Number one, when I talk about Medicare for all, please understand that that is comprehensive health care, and mental health is obviously part of comprehensive health care. So we believe, I believe that under Medicare for all, people will be able to go see the therapists, the counselors, the psychiatrists that they need to. But what we also have to recognize, it's one thing to say you can, it's another thing to make sure that we have the available staffing, which we do not have right now. I mean, of the many crises facing this country, and the major crisis in primary health care, people cannot get the health care they need when they need it, and that is certainly true with mental health counseling. We need a heck of a lot more psychologists and counselors and psychiatrists, and we need to get them into areas where the population now is significantly underserved. We need to get them into the schools, because a lot of kids are struggling with all kinds of problems. So you put your finger on an issue of huge consequence. Mental health is fundamental health care need. We have a crisis now, and we will address that crisis under Medicare for all.
Thank you, Bernie. I have a pretty loaded question that I don't hear any candidates talking about, and it ties in with Medicare for all and health care for all of us. Do you support choice in vaccines for individuals and parents for their children? I understand the double-sided question, but just like women and the right to choose for their own bodies, do you support individuals having choice on what is injected into their body?
Well, I am a great fan of choice, but on the other hand, if you were here with a contagious disease getting everybody else sick, it's my choice not to be made sick by you. So I understand the issue. I mean, generally speaking, as a nation, we do not want to force people to do what they're, what they are uncomfortable with.
Vaccine injury, and some people are predisposed.
Well, that's something, perhaps we should be looking at more. But in general, I think what we're seeing now, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, we're looking in parts of the countries with epidemic of measles now. Yeah? And that's a serious illness. So, I think we rely on the research on this issue. That's kind of my view. Okay. Yeah, my hand way in the back there, sir.
My name is Ted Fogg. This is my son, Kat. I'm a representative of the family rights movement. All told, as a whole, we're about 6 million voters. And we're interested in you specifically in regards to your changes in Social Security. And we're wondering, specifically Title 4D and E of the Social Security Act, will we incentivize funding within Title 4D and E? Will the incentives be removed completely or be replaced with a traditional fee schedule funding model like Medicare and fire departments?
Ted, I apologize to you. I'm not quite familiar with what you were talking. You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Title 4E is an incentive to give foster children homes.
Okay.
Title 4D is an incentive to collect child support. But what's happened is it's dollar for dollar. And so the people that the laws were intended for, it's too expensive to go after them or to go after the children who need help. So in order to get these incentives, they've gone after people who do love and support their children.
Well, on the surface, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There are a lot of kids who need loving homes, and we want to be supportive of foster care in this country. Yeah, right here.
Duncan Nicholas. I'm a Vermonter, but I appreciate the news about the death penalty being repealed in New Hampshire. Finally, that's wonderful. And it's a moral question. And my question for you is, I know you can elaborate if you want, that you support the F-35 deployment in the Burlington airport. And it can carry nuclear weapons, which means that it could be a first strike. And I think you officially disagree with that, but it's a moral issue.
I officially disagree with that.
Yes, and I know there's a lot of issues about jobs, and it's complicated. But I was wondering what you would say is
Look, it's
about
not
a first strike.
The F-30, first of all, I don't accept that they carry nuclear weapons. And second of all, the F-35 is the plane of NATO. It's the plane of the United States Air Force. It's going to go someplace. Okay? That's all. And it was a boondoggle. It's absolutely correct. But it's going to go someplace. And without the F-35, what I am told is Burlington, Vermont, will not have much of an air national guard. And I want to see them maintain that air national guard. Okay, other questions? Yeah, ma'am, right here.
What I really care about,
Stand up if you could, please. Give us your name.
Susan, what I really care as a voter is beating Trump.
Good.
And I'm concerned a little bit about them already saying socialism about you. I want to know what you could do if you go against Trump.
Good.
He's a bully. He's
Yes.
going to call you names. He's going to, and all of his supporters are already doing it. Socialism,
Look.
commie. What are you going to do?
First of all, understand that Trump is a pathological liar. So he will, doesn't matter who the candidate is, whatever the candidate is, he will make vicious attacks. Doesn't matter who it is. And he already has. All right? But I'll tell you why, but you've asked a good question, and I'll tell you why I believe I am the strongest candidate to defeat Trump. Not to say that there are not other candidates who could beat him. I happen to believe that I'm the strongest candidate. Why is that? In order to defeat Trump, we're going to need an unprecedentedly large voter turnout. That's what we're going to need. Trump's base is loyal and supportive, and we are going to need a whole lot of people who normally do not vote to get involved in the political process. And our campaign is reaching out successfully to a whole lot of working people who sometimes don't vote, a whole lot of young people who often do not vote. So if you want to beat Trump, you're going to need a large voter turnout, and I think our campaign is that campaign. Number two, if you want to beat Trump, you're going to have to create a campaign of energy and excitement. Same old is not going to work, in my view. Okay? So when you have candidates out there, without naming them, you know who they are, who have voted for terrible trade agreements. You don't think Trump will be talking about that? Who have voted for a terrible bankruptcy bill, which is causing a whole lot of harm in this country. When you have a candidate who actively supported the war in Iraq, one of the great foreign policy disasters facing us. When you have candidates who are not going to lower the cost of prescription of health care for people, which is many of my opponents are not, okay, that is a real vulnerability. So I think if you look at my record, which is a record of fighting for working people, a campaign of energy and excitement, and a large voter turnout, I think we are the campaign that can be in the best position to defeat Donald Trump. Okay? I just don't believe that running with the same old type of politics is going to create the energy and the excitement we need to defeat Trump. We need to speak to the needs of a lot of people in this country who are in pain, who want a new vision for this country, and I think our campaign can do that. Okay, other questions? Let me see. Oh, good, right here. I see a hand right back there. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a story rather than a question. So I'm currently a medical student, and I did my clinical elective in the Child Abuse Evaluation Clinic. And one of the patients and families that I saw was a single mom with a young child with complex health needs. And she was there because she couldn't afford to provide those needs, the care that he needed, and the state was taking her child away because she couldn't afford his care that he needed. And every day I saw kids who were suffering from abuse, but the hardest cases I saw were like a teenager who needed a forensic interview and evaluation for being raped, and she couldn't because she didn't have insurance. And so I just wanted to share that story because that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily see.
Look, the ugliness and the absurdity and the dysfunctionality of the system is manifested. You indicated some of the ways it is. In other ways, there are people literally in this country who are involved in accidents, and then somebody says, well, we got to get you to the emergency room, and they say, no, I can't go to the emergency room because I can't afford to pay. This is what a cruel and dysfunctional and very, very expensive healthcare system looks like. Okay, questions here? Okay, yeah, hi. Got a mic, wait a mic on there? Watch the dog.
Hi, Bernie.
Hi, how are you?
The
Just give your name for the
Oh, Liz Blum. The United States has the greatest nuclear arsenal, nuclear weapons, and it's pretty scary. And we've moved closer to the doomsday clock. And I'd like to know what you would do to reduce our nuclear arsenal and the cost of maintaining it. Thank you.
That's a great question. Well, we have to revitalize the non-proliferation treaty, and we have to do everything that we can. Look, I would say probably, if you want to be an optimist, maybe one of the amazing things, back in 1945, you had scientists who believed that another use of nuclear weapons was almost inevitable. And somehow or another, the planet has continued going without getting involved in a nuclear war, but we don't want to press our luck. There are a lot of countries out there with nuclear weapons, and we have got to do everything that we can to move toward the elimination of nuclear weapons with strong nuclear treaties all over the world. I see a young woman over there, young.
Hello? Hi. There we go. I had a question. There's been an initiative in a couple states about allowing ex-felons the right to vote. I wanted to know if that's something you believe should be implemented across all states.
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
In Florida, there was a ballot item which won pretty overwhelmingly. Of course, the legislature there is trying to undermine it. But look, if people commit a crime and they pay the price, they serve their time, they must be allowed to become full American citizens and have the right to vote.
Hi, Senator. My name is George, and the question I have for you is the budget that just got passed or signed off by Trump was a $1.4 trillion, of which $737 billion was for defense.
Yes.
China, if I got it right, China spends between 100 to 150 billion on defense. Russia between 60 and 100 billion, round numbers. So and nobody's attacking China, and nobody's attacking Russia. And they have a lot more land exposure than we do. So, to me, just to throw a number out there, if we would lop 500 billion off of our defense budget, there's that pot of gold, or one of those pots of gold for the program.
Let me elaborate on your point. We are spending more than the next 10 nations combined, including China and Russia. We have spent trillions of dollars on the war on terror and endless wars, which I intend to end. And I intend to take a very hard look at the budget. I voted, I think, the only United States senator running for president who has voted against all of Trump's military budgets. You are aware that he has significantly increased military spending since he has been president. But the bottom line is, on top of all of that, the amount of money, there is one agency of the federal government that has not successfully undergone an independent audit. Guess what agency it would be? It's the Pentagon. So there's massive amounts of cost overruns within the Pentagon. There's corruption. And so forth and so on. So we will take a hard look at the military budget, and I think we can lower military spending significantly. Okay, right here. Stand up.
Hi, my name's Bradley. So being in college and studying politics, I find myself constantly writing about the criminal justice system. And we see, obviously, the clear discrimination that poverty-stricken people and minority people suffer under the system. We see people getting killed by cops every day. We see people getting imprisoned and getting harsher sentences based on their income and based on the color of their skin versus white people. And I want to know how you plan on fixing that and restoring actual rehabilitative justice so we can move away from people being unable to continue their lives after prison and make sure people can actually contribute towards society.
Good. Excellent. The long answer is go to our website. We have a rather detailed proposal on, sweeping proposal on criminal justice. Everything you said is true. We have more people in jail than any other country, disproportionately African American, Latino, Native American. And bottom line here is what I will do is invest in education and jobs for our young people rather than more jails and incarceration. We will end the cash bail system. Right now you got 2 million, you're familiar with that. Right now you got over 2 million people in jail, and about 20% of those people, can you imagine, 400,000 people are in jail today because they're too poor to afford cash bail. We're going to eliminate that. We're going to end private prisons and detention centers. And I'll tell you something else that we have to do, and that is to end the so-called war on drugs. So what we will do is legalize marijuana. That's something the president can do unilaterally, as a matter of fact, with an executive order, by taking marijuana out of what do you call it, the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Okay, we can do that. And also expunge the records of those people arrested for possession of marijuana. So there's a lot that can be done, but you're right. The criminal justice system is broken and racist, and it's something we got to do. All right, maybe just a couple more questions. Okay, yeah, woman right there.
Hello, my name is Kyra, and I'm a garden educator, so I teach school children the importance of knowing how to grow their own food.
Good.
And thank you. I'm just curious what your opinions are on the use of pesticides. I think we have a lot of information now that's out there. We definitely know how dangerous it is. And I think that I'm blown away. I live in Northampton, Massachusetts. It's a pretty progressive area. But I'm still blown away by seeing sprayed with chemicals, keep your dogs off the lawn, in a community that I teach kids just down the block, hey, don't spray your garden with this weird stuff. So I just wanted to know what your opinion was.
Well, I think,
thank you.
Thank you. I think all over this country, parents and all of us are concerned about the quality of the food that we are eating. That has to do with a lot of factors. But I think there is a reason why the organic food industry is growing at rates of 10% a year, because people want to make sure that the food they're eating is safe. So we have some very significant ideas on agriculture. I'm not going to tell you that we can wipe out pesticides in year one, but I think we can be supportive of organic agriculture. We can be in very strong opposition, have a moratorium on factory farming, by the way, which is a big deal. And also, there have been, as you may know, a lot of mergers with the agricultural industry, leading to a really strong concentration of ownership in sector after sector. So agriculture, protecting family farms, getting young people back into agriculture is something that I think we would like to focus on. Okay, last question.
Senator Sanders, thank you. Forgive me, I'm not from here, but where I live, we're having an affordable housing crisis that I imagine affects here too.
It's bad here too.
And like healthcare, I think having a roof over your head is a fundamental right. So what will you do in your administration to provide more affordable housing?
Thank you. When you run around the country running for president, you learn a lot. So if anybody wants to get a good education, run for president. It's really quite remarkable. But one of the things you learn, and I did not fully appreciate it, is the degree, the severity of the housing crisis in community after community after community. It's not just Los Angeles County, where there are 50,000 people who are homeless today. Not just Seattle, it's Burlington, Vermont. It is communities all over the country. And the housing crisis manifested in 500,000 people homeless It is manifested in 18,000 families spending 50% of their incomes on housing, which is pretty crazy. So what do? We have a sweeping housing proposal which will build 10 million units of low-income and affordable housing, will move us in the direction of preventing landlords from simply raising their rents anytime they want. And will wipe out homelessness. So I think as a nation, from a moral perspective, we have got to be outraged that so many people, including some 30,000 veterans, are homeless today. So to answer your question, this is a national crisis. We're going to create a hell of a lot of jobs and rebuild our housing infrastructure. All right, let me conclude by thanking let me conclude. No, excuse me.
Just this one young boy has had his hand up.
Sorry.
from the very
I
beginning.
will talk to him afterwards. But
Talk to him.
I got to be moving on now. But let me just thank all of you for being here. Just say this in conclusion. And that is, as a United States Senator, I am more than familiar with the power of the corporate elite and more than familiar with the power of the 1%. And anybody here who thinks that you can make the changes that this country needs without standing up to that greed and corruption, in my view, is sorely mistaken. So this 1% is incredibly powerful. But at the end of the day, if we do not allow Trump to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or our religion, if we are prepared to stand together, the 99% is a lot bigger number than 1%. And when we stand together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. That's what this campaign is about. That's what our administration is about. Thank you very much.